Welcome to another episode of the Kansas City Multifamily Minute. We're stepping our game up. We got a little intro music, cool intro music. We listened to a little Jordan Belfort before we got on the call, and I am super excited. Alex, you do not have the COVID anymore, and that is so good. Or you never did. It was inconclusive. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. We'll never know, but I'm just going to say I've got it, and I'm definitely immune. Probably not, it's probably going to be immune forever, not just 3 months. So
All right.
I'm excited I got it and I'm done.
Cool, man. Well, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. I think there's a lot of people that are still going to get it, unfortunately. And, I've been very lucky thus far not to get it or to ignore if I did have it. So with that being said, we are in the midst of an election that is, I think, over now. And a lot of people keep asking us about what's the impact of the election on property and, what should I be thinking about? And the answer is this. In the short term, I don't think there's a lot of impact yet. With that being said, the main thing that might be at risk is the 1031 exchange, right? And I've talked about this. We have talked about this a lot. I'm going to have the only Dave Foster on the Live Free Investors podcast very soon to talk about the risks of the 1031 exchange actually going away. And Dave will talk to us a little bit, and get his voice going. So hopefully Dave's voice is on point that day. Dave, I'm just poking at you. You're always a great host and a big resource for all of our clients. So really appreciate everything that you do, Dave. All right, but let's talk about, some of the differences between when the Democrats held the presidency or the White House and when the Republicans did. We're also going to touch on why multifamily is holding strong and that Kansas City added 4,600 new apartments in 2020 with more in the pipeline, why that's still not enough for our city, and more in today's Kansas City Multifamily Minute. Okay, Alex, I will also ask you about the deals that have been going under contract because we've got a lot of things moving, and I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you a little bit of a tough question at some point, one that I posed to our emerging brokers and our brokers training that nobody really answered real well. So anyways, let's jump right in. Are you ready?
I'm in.
All right, we got some really cool things to cover today. Since 1860, a Republican has occupied the White House for 95 years, a Democrat for 65 years. The annualized S&P 500 return during the 65 Democratic years of control was 8.4%. And it was 8.3% when the president was a Republican. So when you think about that, it's pretty statistically insignificant difference. Now, from 1929 to 2019, one party controlled both ends of Pennsylvania Avenue for 45 years, and the S&P return averaged 7.45%. The other 46 years, 7.26%. So, I don't think the markets necessarily are going to be crazy different because Joe Biden is in the presidency. Now, we have seen some increased confidence, I would say, in the equities markets just recently, and there's a lot of folks that are feeling really good about that, and that's wonderful. Not here to be political one bit. Alex and I do that offline plenty. With that being said, the real question is, how is this going to impact property and commercial real estate? We've touched on one of the aspects with the 1031 exchange, but let's go back into history. Property has performed well under both parties. Since 1979, the NCREIF property index returns have averaged better than 8.5% annually under various Democratic and Republican administrations. So rather than elections, I urge you to really look at the real estate cycle that we're in, the economy, interest rates, COVID-19, and geopolitical events that are going to focus commercial real estate more in the near term than just the election at large. So with that being said, longer term, different administrations have different spending priorities that will impact where the growth occurs across the nation. And one of those things people keep asking about is opportunity zones. We don't need to go into detail here, but the opportunity zones was a bipartisan, bill, if you will. So, I'm not too worried about opportunity zones either. So now, the prices of commercial real estate also, they typically lag the election results. So, if you're in the market right now and, you're doing a 1031 exchange, I don't think you have anything to worry about right now. What I would say is that prices might continually to inch up. And here's why. I think both parties right now are, interested in a second or third or fourth, whatever, wave of economic stimulus, right? Okay. So I've talked about this a lot at length and happy to talk offline about this. When we pump more dollars into our into our economy through federal stimulus and economic stimulus, we are essentially devaluing the dollar. The Fed doesn't legitimately go out and make fun coupons, like Leonardo DiCaprio does on The Wolf of Wall Street. What they do is, I'm not an economist, but I did read this, they do buy bank reserves, I think, or something like that. But so they make it feel like there is more dollars in the economy. They're not printing them legitimately, but neither, most transactions don't happen in dollars anymore anyway. So with that being said, if the dollar is continuing to be devalued, there's a lot of folks out there that feel like the stock market is crazy high. These companies are extremely overvalued. One thing reigns true. Andrew Carnegie said that 90% of the world's millionaires were built that way and through commercial real estate. So I think commercial real estate is positioned very, very well. We've got a little graphic here to go all the way back from 1979, where you can see where, Republicans and Democrats held the White House, where those returns were. And you can see that it's generally very, very similar. So those are my thoughts. Alex, anything to add on the election results?
The election results are always an interesting time because there's so much uncertainty. And I consider myself an optimist. So no matter who controls the White House, I try to look for the pros of that position. And so, 4 years ago, it was President Trump, very business oriented. So there was a lot of good feeling around the business side and tax cuts, which was really fun to talk about. And now we have, Joe Biden, who has got 40 some years of experience with working with both sides of the aisle. So the hope there is that, whatever happens has to be both Democrat and Republican.
Right.
And so I think you laid it out perfectly in terms of the who controls the presidential side of the house does not impact real estate as much as we think it does in this moment. Basically from this first kind of 6 months or a year of a new president, there's not a ton of impact. And so it's best to stay the course. If you own real estate, great. If you're selling real estate, great. If you're buying, all those different things you position yourself great and keep going down that path. But like you said, you've got to make it with the right decisions in the right asset class and the right location. Mm-hmm. And, don't just invest in silly areas and property types. Make sure that you're making a very sound investment and or selling a sound investment, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, we can help you do that, right? That's what we do. So with that being said, I just mentioned that Kansas City is delivering 4,600 new apartment complexes. 50% of that's down in the urban core. 70% of planned developments are out in the suburban market. So interesting trends happening. There's a link to that report, I believe, in the the market commentary. So go check that out, where that's going. So this 4,600 units is more than 22 projects. And those are through the first 9 months in 2020. So that makes 2020 only the second year to date in which more than 4,000 units have been added. And so you might think about that and you might say, who's going to absorb all of these, units, and who's living in all of these apartments? Well, let me tell you, rental demand, limited new construction, and rising development costs have all contributed to an above average growth in the multifamily sector in the past decade. And there doesn't seem to be any relief to that supply shortage in sight. According to a recent study done by the National Apartment Association and the National Multifamily Housing Council, which we'll talk about here in a second, 4.6 million new apartments are needed to be completed by 2030 to keep up with demand. 4.6 million. I'm talking about 4,600 in one of the, what is Kansas City? It's top 25 MSA. You know what I mean? So That means on average, 325,000 new apartment homes would need to be built each year to keep up with demand. We're talking about less than 5,000 of those being here in Kansas City. So for perspective, from 2012 to 2016, only an average of about 244,000 new apartment homes were built per year. And in the last 30 years, there's never been a year where there's been more than 325,000 new apartments. And there's a few different trends about that. The millennials, the baby boomers, and home affordability, also immigration. If you want to talk more about that, I'm pretty sure we have an episode actually about that. So those are some of the reasons that, multifamily is going to hold strong. We put another link in here. Talking to Freddie Mac's, one of their economists and forecasters. Go check it out. It's one of these cool, multi-housing news articles where they do kind of a question and answer. And this guy does his best to just hop like a little rabbit all around the questions, but he does have some good tidbits in there, some carrots, if you will. I
like the rabbit and the carrot.
Yeah, you have to.
I like that.
He's definitely a little rabbit just hopping around all over the place. But here's a serious piece of information. And, oh, man, I'm not going to buy anything because I'm waiting for COVID pricing. I'm talking about people back in March and April. And, when stimulus runs out, nobody's going to pay for rents and we're going to be in a tough spot. Well, the National Multifamily Housing Council rent payment tracker just found that 94.6% of apartment households paid rents as of October 27th. So I haven't heard the doubters out there in a while. They're still out there a little bit, but we're resilient. Commercial real estate is resilient. People need a place to live. Yeah, sure. Is there after this moratorium goes on, is there going to be a wave of crap? Absolutely. But you know what? That's going to show the real operators from the guys who are just holding this stuff and not being active in their business. If that's you, get out there right now, get ahead of it, and start working with your operations and realize that those are people that are living in your apartment complex, and work with them on a regular basis. Those are the owners that are making it through, and those are the owners that will do fantastic throughout this. It's not going to be easy, but everything worth anything is not easy. So I'm so just irked about people being like, well, what are you going to do when all this, eviction moratorium? I'm not trying to evict that many people because we're working with folks. So sure, it takes time. Sure, it takes effort. But if you want to be successful, everything does. So get your tail out there and do that. That's a call to all the commercial real estate owners out there.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay. So last thing, that I wanted to talk about was the supply and demand imbalance, which is still making multifamily attractive. This is from Globe Street. This is just to paint the point that we made earlier. Before the pandemic struck, the multifamily market suffered from a severe supply and demand imbalance, which we mentioned already. That fueled an affordability crisis both nationally and especially in states like California. Nothing has changed. The supply-demand imbalance remains, And the pandemic has only exacerbated, I said it right. It's only exacerbated that problem. And as a result, multifamily remains an attractive investment bet. So go check that out. The links are in the market commentary. A little less of me, a little more data. I just want to stay neutral throughout this whole political, scenario. I'm not here to tell you, presidency, not presidency, all of that good stuff. Everybody is we were here to tell you to vote, and that's what you did. So great job, guys. I really, really appreciate everybody going out and voting. That was incredible. So, okay, we've talked a little bit about some multifamily stuff. We've talked a little bit about Kansas City developing new units, why those units are going to be absorbed. They may not be absorbed at the same rate of like $2.50 a square foot, but that's okay. Those builders are building them to not have to hit that. Do they want to? Absolutely. But they're also getting relief from their lenders right now too. And so those units will be absorbed. Sure. Are people moving out of LA and New York and Chicago right now? Yeah. Are they moving out of Kansas City, like downtown? Not really. I mean, it's not really happening because we don't have super attractive markets that are super close to downtown. You think about that, Alex. If you're going to move from downtown, where are you going to move? Okay, down to Brookside. Okay, great. I'm going to move down to the Plaza. Okay, great. There's nothing available to rent there.
Mm-hmm.
There never is.
It's going to be just the same price. I mean,
it's the same price. So people are pretty well staying downtown. Now, the new deliveries, which we're not really, worried about. That's not where we play. Those developers will figure that out. They'll get their units filled. They're doing concessions and things like that, but they're getting them filled. So, anyways, that was a little bit about Kansas City, where rent trackers are at and why multifamily is going to continue to be a strong asset class. Let's talk about some deals recently that have gone under contract. I'll start us off. We have a triple net lease, 30,000 square foot shopping center with e-commerce resistant, service-based tenants like Dollar General and liquor stores and, pet shops and all of these different things in that center. It's about 30,000 square feet above an 8% cap rate, recently developed long-term leases. And we just got 4% debt fixed for 10 years, 25-year AM, 75% LTV. And that is what Mr. Wonderful on the Shark Tank calls cash flow. Cash flow. So we've got more of those. We've got some off-market ones coming. We've got some great triple net lease. Don't sleep on retail. Don't sleep on office right now. Specific type of those properties. I'm not talking about going and buying a 20-story office building. I'm talking about 6 to 8 tenants that are doing well. You have one big anchor. No one tenant has more than 25% of the gross leasable space, and you'll be all right. So talk to us about those. We've got some new ones of those coming very, very soon. When there's blood in the streets is when you should be walking in them. So don't forget about that, guys. When everybody else is zigging, make sure you are zagging. And I did that this year and bought 700 units. So, I think that might work a little bit. But retail, office, very strategically, placed throughout the city with the right tenant mix can be a really, really good play, especially for 1031 exchange clients. That's what I wanted to talk about, Alex. You've had some really awesome recent transactions happen. So why don't you and these are ones that we showcased on the BRSS system. So fill us in. What's been going on?
Yeah, man. So a couple things that come off the big board. One is 32 units in Raymore. It's a big project.
It is.
Beautiful townhomes. That thing's going to close. It's a really nice project for one of our 1031 exchange clients that
absolutely
had a specific need that we're able to fill. That's one. Two, another sub-market very similar was essentially 20 units off market in Belton.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. These awesome townhouses that generate lots of cash flow, have big space, so you can have small families in there. You can have couple dudes, couple gals in there, whatever the case may be. Those are very popular because they don't have any owner expenses other than taxes. Because in Kansas City, most of these newer properties built in the last 30 years are all separately metered.
Yep.
And so one of the hurdles I've had, I wouldn't say it's a hurdle, but one of the things I've talked to a lot of investors about is helping them understand that these do not have utility expenses. Because so many investors out of state, especially, are used to, where you've got common area maintenance. And so on these townhouse style, typically the only thing you've got is lawn care.
Yep.
And that's really it. So those are two. And then we also have a 10 unit in Raytown. That's off the board. That's a nice all brick building with a pitched roof that should have low maintenance once it's stabilized. And in fact, I think, Logan, you guys bought some stuff earlier this year in Raytown that does well for you. So those are 3 properties that were in our top 10. And I'm thinking, I've got some fingers crossed here that we're going to have a couple more that are going to come off the board here in the next 2 weeks.
Awesome, man.
So it's an exciting time right now.
Great. Well, fantastic. Credit markets are cleaning up and the banks are ready to lend. Alex, other than the obvious reasons, why do you think people are willing to purchase real estate now when we just went through an election, COVID's highest it's ever been, than they were back in March? Like, what's your quick, short answer to that?
Consumer confidence.
Consumer confidence. Okay, tell me more.
So, when we're during the pandemic, the beginning stages, it was fear, right? Myself included. I had some. I was still confident, but everybody's got maybe a little bit of fear of not knowing what's going to happen. And so you have that happen, and then you have this period of, we talked about, right, where everybody wants a discount. I want discount pricing for COVID.
Yep.
And then that has already basically sailed away, right? I mean, we know that that's not really going to happen. There's not going to be a huge discount. And so now then, as that's happened, you got low interest rates that appear to stay low. And then we also have just consumer confidence to know that the world isn't going to fall apart.
Right. Yeah. Well, I feel like I was preaching that from the skies in March, but that's okay. So I'm just happy that people are starting to be more confident in it. I'm curious, did you ever see any of that fear in me?
No, maybe for 1 second.
Yeah, 1 second. Okay. I get it. No, I was fearful when I had $15 to $20 million worth of retail shopping centers under contract in the beginning of COVID. I'm grateful that we heeded some of our own intuition and let those contracts go. Coincidentally, we're back at those now at COVID pricing. Okay, so we have had some great transactions happening. Things are going under contract. Things are closing. Super exciting. People are working to get things closed before the end of the year. Awesome. What if I'm in a, help me understand and if I'm in a 1031 exchange right now, talk to me about a couple properties. We've had 3 or 4 of them come off the big board. We've had 3 or 4 come back on. I'll talk about one, but you start us off, man.
Well, yeah, we have 2 really great set of properties in Lee Summit that, we've got a 4-plex, very low owner expenses, just like what I talked about before that came off the board a few days ago.
Yep.
That is 4 units in a Class A market. If you're looking at Johnson County and can't find anything over there, come over here to Lee Summit. We've got 2 properties. So one's a 4-plex, very affordable, with great tenants in it, room to add value and grow. Then we have 2 duplexes in Lee Summit that the way they're priced right now, actually I just ran some comps on those. And you could practically flip those and sell those and make a pretty good profit. You buy them individually, don't really need to do too much to them. They're already at great rents, and sell those in a couple of years for quite a bit more than what you paid for them.
Yep.
So those are 2 that are easy slam dunks for anybody that's either in a 1031 exchange or looking for a Class A market.
Come on with it, man. All right. Now, why do you think it is Lee Summit that you keep getting all these deals from? Is it just people are attracted to Lee Summit and you because you're a native over there, or what's happening?
I think there's part of it is, just calling everybody I don't know, because literally I don't know anybody. So I'm just calling everybody. At least somebody like it because it's close. And the big thing is the product that they do have is generally pretty dang good with pretty dang good tenants in it.
Yeah.
So it should make for, you don't ever hear me talking about I'm in the bad parts of the city. Trying to sell deals out there. I like the good parts of the city with good deals because I want our clients to really have great product that they own.
Absolutely, man.
The best of the best. So that's kind of what I'm after.
Perfect. All right. We got some Lease Summit. We've got a fourplex that's listed. We got some duplexes. What was the one before that?
That's it.
Okay. So Lease Summit is a highlight. I'm going to talk about Alex was talking about, talking some crap on old Johnson County. Johnson County is one of the richest counties in the country per capita. It has a little bit of a notion of JOCO, the land of no cash flow. It's only because it is so freaking nice. There legitimately can't be a nicer place in the country. Like, you go down Beverly Hills and it feels like the middle of Leawood and Overland Park. So if you think that I'm crazy, come drive some streets down Lee Boulevard and some other streets, 139th or 135th, and I'll show you differently. It's unbelievable over there. If there was one area that probably has the most cash flow, it is the one, the only, the great Olathe, Olathi, Olathe, Olaf, whatever you want to call it, but it's Olathe. So this is an off-market 62-unit project that we've got probably, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks before this goes live, guys. So I really want to highlight this, that there's a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of value add to be had here. Kind of a unique one, okay? So let's walk through this thing. So it's 25 duplexes. So we have 50 two-bedroom, one-bath duplexes. They're all about 720 square foot, okay? Then we have 12 single-family homes. Again, 25 duplexes, 12 single-family homes. When these guys bought these properties 5 or 6 years ago, they cleaned up a lot of stuff over there in Olathe. And the properties needed a lot of work. Exteriors, roofs, everything needed a lot of work. They have proven a value add model of renovating the units anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000 on the renovation. Okay, I know that sounds like a lot, but hear this. On the 2-bedroom, 1-bath duplex aside, they're currently renting most of them for about $780 per month. They have proven a value add strategy of, $8,000 to $12,000, depending on what the unit's like. $1,100 is where the rents are. They went from $780 to $1,100, and there is still 40 units to be done. Okay, check out the comps. We will share the comps with you. There are 2-bedroom comps for $1,300 in this submarket for a very similar type of product. So you have a couple different exit strategies here, okay? You can buy into the duplexes and continue to renovate them as people move out, which I think would be a great idea. You can also sell off these single-family homes. When you see the price on this, you might get a little wonky. It's not our typical price per door. Somewhere between $100,000 and $120,000 per door is where this is going to land, I believe. So we're talking somewhere between $6.2 and $6.5 million. Now, you have to know that 12 of these are probably $200,000 single-family homes in Olathe that I'm not going to sell them for you. Alex probably won't sell them for you, but we'll find somebody to sell them for you if you want to pop those 12 units off. And then, we were doing a couple little calculations. You probably get $2.1 to $2.2 million right off the bat if you wanted to go sell these properties over in Olathe, just the single-family homes. Get you a nice equity boost, take care of some of that cash flow while you're getting your value add, business plan put in place. I've run the numbers. We're at pro forma about $4,200, annualized per unit. Most of our older product, not duplex, not Johnson County. This is older Midtown stuff, goes from $4,200 to $4,800. So I feel really good about this. This is their actuals too. These are pros when it comes from the management side of things. So do not come in here and try to say that you're going to manage the property better. This is a straight up, they probably will stay on and manage the property, frankly. This is a straight up come in, big infusion of capital to get the rents that have already been proven and to sell off those 12 units. So again, this will be listed by a large firm at some point, but we probably have 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks here to bring a buyer for this. And I think there's a big opportunity. So Alex, make sure that you take off the name of the of the properties on the pro forma and the documents. We have a full T12, we have a rent roll, and we have an underwriting report. I don't know how we're going to do that, but we can't have people reaching out to the owners directly on this one. If they do, they'll probably call me because that's how close I am with them. So I advise that not to be your strategy. But I think that there's a lot of value to be had here at a $6.2 million purchase price with the assumptions that we have made. It's about an 18% IRR and a 22.8% average annual return. And so pro forma cash on cash, about 8.5%. That's not taking into consideration selling those 12 units in 6 months. I mean, it wouldn't even take you 6 months to sell those 12 houses. Your IRR will probably go up 5-6 basis points fully if you sell those and have that injection of cash into this deal. Very unique one. I do think it would qualify for agency debt because there is agency debt on it currently. So I think that you have the opportunity to do that as well. I ran it at 75% LTV at 4.25. If you drop that 4.25 down to 3.5, where we're getting quoted for better than that at agency right now, your cash on cash goes up to 9.4. IRR goes to 19.1. So I do think that there's some opportunity here, guys. Reach out to us. This will be nicer product. Your tenants are going to stay longer. Some of the best schools in the state of Kansas are right here. Olathe would be Blue Valley, correct? Yeah, it'd be Blue Valley School District, I think, which is fantastic. So what did I not Blue Valley. My wife just came and said Olathe is not Blue Valley. What school district is it? It's Olathe School District, but still some of the best schools in the state over there in Kansas. Thank you, T, for clearing that up. So I always got somebody, checking in on me, making sure I'm saying the right things. What did I not cover on this deal, Alex?
I think you hit the nail on the head on that deal. It might even be listed for a higher price than what we're going to advertise it at. So
I imagine it will be, to be honest with you. I think if we get some offers in with a person that has a really good track record, I think we might be able to get this thing done. But they're talking about going to one of the biggest brokerages here, and those guys are known for getting crazy prices, so they probably will. So pretty exclusive look here, man. I want to highlight this a lot on this call. If you're in the market for a value add $5 to $7 million deal, let's go. And before you ask Alex why I'm not doing this deal or going after this deal, I do not invest in Johnson County. I have no property in Johnson County. I'm not going to go over to the Kansas side right now. And frankly, I have my hands full with over 250 units that I'm working on right now. So I would love to go after this deal. I also have somewhat of a conflict of interest with the owners. I don't ever want to put myself in a weird position buying a property from a friend and, something goes wrong. So what do they say? You don't poop where you work, or they don't poop where you eat, right? So I'm trying to, keep the two separated a little bit. So, all right, that's this deal. 62 units, 6.2 to 6.5, value add multifamily project. What else we got?
That's our top.
Okay.
That's our top this week.
If you guys are interested in triple net lease, we have about a 50,000 square foot off market triple net lease deal with some great hardware stores and dollar stores, which would be a really nice one. We also have a couple medical office buildings that feel free to reach out to if you would like, if you're looking for something on the triple net lease side of things. If not, this has been a long episode. We had a lot to unpack, had some big updates. Since we're doing these only every 2 weeks, we're going to have a little bit more to showcase for you guys. But transactions are starting to pick back up. People are starting to feel a little bit more confident, and we're really excited about what's going on in Kansas City. Alex, take us home, man.
Let's do it.
All right. That's our intro and outro music. I know we'll get better at it, but that's what we're going to do for now. Alex, man, thank you so much for joining. And until next time, guys, we'll see you here in about 2 weeks, unless that's Thanksgiving. I don't know.
I have no idea. We'll see you soon.
14 days from now, yeah, it'll be really close to Thanksgiving, but we will stay committed and get you something out. So let's get some deals done.
See ya.